The Houston Area Women's Center website, www.hawc.org. The domestic violence hotline, where you can find help 24 hours a day, 713-528-2121. That's 713-528-2121. I'll make this information available on the Newsmakers page on click2houston.com as well. You know, in 2020, 228 Texans were killed by their intimate partner. And this year, according to the Glenda Gordy Research Center, as a part of the Safe Communities Institute at Crime Stoppers of Houston, so far there have been 1,465 aggravated assaults with weapons and 1,411 aggravated assaults involving a family member. In other words, domestic violence related, and the numbers continue to climb year after year. Emilee Whitehurst knows all about these eye-opening stats. She is the president and CEO of the Houston Area Women's Center. Good to see you again. October, this month, we focus on it, but you focus on it every month, every day of the year.
Yes, that's right.
The challenge is it continues to be with us. We're always hopeful that we're going to make this go away. What keeps you hopeful?
Well, let me tell you what, at the Houston Area Women's Center, we have been on the front lines of partnering with survivors for 45 years. And we see them doing the work to build their lives free from violence, incredible courage in the wake of harm. And what we know is that if people are given the support they need, emotional and behavioral health free of charge, which we do, housing so that they are no longer forced to choose between an abusive home and homelessness, opportunities to improve their lives through education, access to child care, that survivors can move forward. And that's the inspiration. We know these programs work.
Once upon a time, and a couple of years ago, we were looking at the pandemic as being responsible for a lot of the domestic violence issues. Do we think that that's still in place?
So, you know, we've all, I think, taken a bit of a collective sigh of relief because we're not so alarmed about the prospect of getting sick. But the social disruption that we've experienced due to the pandemic remains. And I do think that the escalation in violence that we're experiencing is at least still in part due to the economic and social disruption that we experienced from the pandemic.
Once upon a time, on my last segment, in fact, wasn't that long ago, your partners over at the Houston Police Department talked about the Houston Area Women's Center as being one of the places that people need to go to find safe harbor.
Yes.
I know that one of the stats I saw recently was that lack of space was one of the big issues for people who are being faced with problems with domestic violence.
Yeah. So, you know, we are really committed in this community to trying to provide safety on demand, real-time safety to people who we know are in danger. And when we have a 24-hour hotline, and when you call our hotline, we have a set of questions that are very indicative of how much danger you might be in. People who are in abusive dynamics, and it doesn't always start with extreme violence, right? It can be emotional abuse, financial abuse, just really getting at the way you feel about yourself in a way that allows somebody to exercise increasing amounts of control over you. And so we have a set of questions to help us kind of decipher how much danger might you be in. If you're in that situation, you're may just be focused on getting by, you know, keeping the peace, and it can be easy to kind of lose track. So this tool that we use helps us assess the lethality of a situation. And we are in a situation in this community where when we know people are in a highly lethal situation, we still may not have a bed. So we're working on that at the Houston Area Women's Center. We're expanding our access to real-time safety by increasing the number of emergency beds that we have.
Right.
But in the meantime, we still encourage people to call because there's so much you can do to keep yourself safe. Safety planning is the most important thing that we do on our hotline with people, and we do it every day. And we safety plan with people.
And part of that safety plan is for people who are in a situation where they know they need to leave, that at that point, when they decide they are planning to leave, that often and most of the time is the most dangerous time for that person to leave.
Thank you so much for raising that, Khambrel. We really want people to call us, especially at that point where they're like, I have had it. This is not the life I want. We want them to call, or friends and family who are seeing that dynamic, we want them to call, because what we might think is that moment of, you know, consciousness raising and, coming to one's senses, that actually can be tragically the most dangerous time. And that's when safety planning is so essential. Again and again, we see that the most likely time to be harmed or killed is as you're leaving, or even within the first year after you've left an abusive relationship. So we really want to be able to work with people to make sure that they're leaving carefully, thoughtfully, and with the proper protections in place.
I went to your website. I do that all the time, by the way. And I noticed when I went to resources, more than 60 different organizations with resources on your website for all kinds of things that we need to know about domestic violence. What do you suggest someone, if they even think that their situation is, something's not right, what do you suggest they do to try to steer themselves? They may not need you right now, but where do they need to go?
Well, I really do encourage them to call the hotline, because that's a great place to start. We talk to people on that hotline. You don't need to just call the hotline if you feel like you're in peril. Call the hotline if you're just not sure what's happening here. I can't access my bank accounts. My partner's not letting me. I earn some money, I earn the money, but I can't get to my accounts. Or I'm getting increasingly concerned because my partner doesn't let me drive, and threatens to, withhold resources, or my partner's, threatening my kids if I don't do what he says. There's all kinds of ways where this abuse plays out, and that's what we're here for. We provide free counseling, we provide access to legal services, we provide access to housing resources, economic and financial coaching. It is not just a place for the most dire situations. Most of the people that we serve are not in our shelter. They're in these other programs. And then, of course, and I'm so glad you mentioned it, we have a network throughout the community of other service providers that we connect people, do warm handoffs, so that people, it is going to take all of us in this community to address this systemic issue.
But it's good to know Houston Area Women's Center is at the center of it all. Emilee Whitehurst, thank you. Continued good luck and success with this program. I know men and women who need you